Perfection is killing your progress. I'm going to say it again. Perfection is killing your progress. So your desire to be perfect, this is what is stopping you from moving forward. So I want to welcome everyone back to another episode of From Shadows to Strength. I'm Tyson. Jay's in the room with me, and he will be hearing from him along the way. So today we are getting into something that costs people more than they know, and that's perfectionism. It's the lie that you can't do it perfectly. So if you can't do it perfectly, well, I might as well not do it at all. What's the point in trying? So this can apply to family, work, gym, food, sleep. Look, it's the same disease, same cost. We're going to name it. We're going to tell some personal experiences with it and hopefully give you a way out, one that you can apply in your day-to-day life. So I would have to say, as a coach, as a mentor, I see way too many clients that I work with, men and women alike, that are waiting for, let's say, that perfect moment. They want to see all the stars align. They want the schedule to be right. They want that perfect workout, the perfect meal plan, the perfect week, right? I mean, this is why the New Year's resolution thing always happens. Well, I'll just wait until the new year and then I'm going to have it all together. They wait for Monday. They wait for the start of the month. They wait for the kids to be in school. They wait for that schedule, like I said, that just never clears. It's not going to happen, guys. Here's though what perfectionism actually is. It's fear. It's kind of fear in a clean shirt, so to speak. It looks like high standards. It's actually avoidance. You're not waiting for the perfect moment because you want to do it well. You're waiting because the moment you start, you have to face that gap between where you are and where you want to be. So in order to not have to address that issue, you keep waiting, right? It's kind of an excuse. There's a study. Now I hope I say this right, because there's all these people that come out with studies always seem to have weird long ass names. Anyways, or weirdly spelt names. But anyways, Hewitt, that one's easy. And Flet's multi-dimensional perfectionism scale. So I found this really interesting when I found it. It says that separates perfectionism into 3 forms. So you have self-oriented, other-oriented, socially prescribed. So those are your 3 forms of perfectionism. All 3, they correlate with procrastination, anxiety, and reduced task completion. So this is clinical literature that's been clear for 30 years. This study was done back in 1991, so over 30 years now. Man, Jay, you and I are getting old, buddy. So perfection does not improve performance. It actually does the opposite. It blocks it. It stops us dead in its tracks. So I need people to understand. Again, this is from personal experience, and I'm sure Jay can relate to this and things he sees in the military. And again, things I see with clients all the time. This is about a lifestyle. That's why I'm a lifestyle coach. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. I'm a lifestyle coach. Developing a lifestyle that accommodates these things, it's actually a skill, and it takes time to build. And that's usually what people fail to understand, is allowing for the time for this lifestyle to take root. Health is not a project you finish ever. It's a lifelong investment, and it's the thing you actually become over time. So if I were to give a personal anecdote, a personal story here, I'm gonna have to go back to a time where I actually started to really excel in my life, which in the right way. I excelled in life for all the wrong reasons early on. But when I was in prison, when I went into medium security, I actually went and had a chance to do the level 1 culinary course. So this is actually the first time in my life ever that I started to apply myself to learning. and I was actually doing well. I had done a lot of cooking in maximum security, so I really started to like working in a kitchen setting. Plus, you get more food and more protein for someone who lifts weights. This is a great thing to do. That's why I liked working in the kitchen in prison. But taking this course, I got hung up on wanting to always get like 95% and above on my test because I was nailing my exams, my tests that I had to do every time. Again, first time I've ever gotten an A on any mark in my life, except for maybe gym class. So I got hung up on focusing on my grades. And the teacher, his name was G, really solid guy. He taught me not just a lot in the kitchen, but just a lot in framing my mind. And when it actually came to doing the final exam for that course to get my level 1 certification, he actually challenged me. He said, Tyson, don't worry about studying. I guarantee if you take this test right now, you're going to pass. And again, I think the bare minimum to pass for anything that's like this is a 70%. He's like, I challenge you to take this test now. Don't study for it. You're ready for it. And if you pass without studying, forget what he had to cook, but it was like, I think a steak and some other things. He's like, if you do it, as soon as you're done, and if I find out you pass, we're going to come back. We're going to do this. We're going to have this meal. So I kind of took him up on the offer. I'm like, okay, I'll do the test. I'll write it. We'll see what happens. I think it was about a week later, I got the results back. And sure enough, I think I got an 82 or something like that. It was in the low 80s, which is not what I was used to, but I passed. And one of the things he said to allow me to do this is he made it clear to me something that I was avoiding. And that was that in order to be good at something, that theoretical aspect is not as important as the practical. You know, he told me, Tyson, you can be great on the books, but you might not know how to be a good chef. And I think that truly applies. And I'm sure, Jay, again, you can agree with this. When it comes to stuff I'm sure you've done in the military, it's not about what you know in the book. It's about what you can do in the field. So if you were thinking about this from your standpoint, Jay, guys who wait for that perfect moment to start something that they already should be doing, what do you think that struggle could be? And have you ever dealt with that yourself?
Yeah. Like you say, you always wait for the perfect time or the perfect weather or the perfect this. And then all that happens is you're just that much more behind. Like if you wait for good weather to work out or go for a run outside, you only get in a few months a year in Canada, where if you want the perfect running weather, where it's not too hot, not too cold, a nice breeze, you know what I mean? Nice wind on your back helping you. It's one of those things like you have to start. No matter how shitty you feel, no matter how tired you are, you have to start. Because the longer you wait, the harder it will be. And you'll just be that much farther behind. Like we talked about before, I should have tried out for JTF 3-4 years earlier than I did. But I self-doubted myself. I didn't think I was fast enough, strong enough, swim good enough, all that sort of stuff. And I doubted myself. And I said, well, if I can't go in perfect, I'm not going to go. But I was probably more than ready. I just had that self-doubt in my head. And I think a lot of people get that when they go to the gym or they want to try a new sport or they want to try pick up hockey with somebody or soccer or just trying to do an activity. They're like, well, I want to get in shape before I do it. Well, doing that will get you in shape. And yeah, the first 2 games, you're going to suck. And everybody's going to be running around you and you're going to be out of breath and, oh my God, this is so hard or whatever. And then the more you stay at it, the better in shape you get, the better you'll get and on, The greatest thing I ever noticed is before we went overseas and stuff like that, we did all this first aid training on dummies, on each other, on people, just over and over again. But until I actually did it live on someone that had gotten shot and stuff like that, it's so different. But once I started doing that on live people, unfortunately, the experience I got from that and everything was just so much better doing it than reading about it and practicing and the theory of it. We did so much theory, But when I got my hands on first time practical saving someone's life, actually stopping a bleeding, putting it on a tourniquet, putting in an IV, all that kind of stuff, I was like, wow, that's where you really learn. Like, yeah, the theory's good, but nothing beats practical knowledge, actually hands on doing it.
Yeah, like imagine just reading all that stuff and never being in and having to do it in a war zone. Bullets flying, like not ideal conditions. And I know they have special courses for you guys to kind of get used to that, where you might have to do this in a live action kind of situation. Because if you don't have that practice, well, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. I mean, if you look at anyone, military, sport, anyone taking up a new hobby, a new activity, we all look retarded. Sorry, not sorry for saying that word. Everyone knows I'm not talking about, just you look dumb.
Yeah.
You look dumb. You look awkward. You feel awkward. You're embarrassed because you're like, I can't believe I can't get this. And it's look at this. This guy's making it look so easy. Yeah, because he's practiced. He's been doing it for God knows how long, maybe his whole life. Of course, he makes it look effortless. Right? First time you went into the gym, Jay. I mean, I remember the first time I went into a gym. I got stuck under the bar on decline bench press. Dumbass over here. I put the clips on, not realizing that if I got stuck under the bar on bench press, I'm not rolling that bar up. I'm stuck under. So fortunately, at the YMCA, because I remember the YMCA. I don't know if anyone listening, any podcast listeners remembers the YMCA on Maribel, the old hardcore. This is before 613 existed. The old hardcore gym, and they had all the bench presses in front of the cardio machines. Now, I'm not sure if it was because they were trying to incentivize the men to lift heavier, because all the women, this is back in the 90s, all the women loved their cardio machines. I mean, women still do, but all the girls were always on the cardio machines. And I went and did, I think it was my first time in the gym. My first workout was a pure chest workout. I started with a bro split. I mean, I think that's why I liked a bro split, still down to this day. I started with a bro split, way too much volume for my underdeveloped body. So 3 movements in, I did flat bench press, incline bench press, then decline bench press. I think it was my second set of decline bench press. I had 25 aside, no great amount of weight. And it was my 3rd rep, and I did not get that bar off my chest. It was just stuck on there. It's embarrassing. But you know what? Didn't stop me from going back and finishing my workout, coming back the next day, doing another workout, and getting better and better at it. And I mean, 46, if I say 40, almost 46, my wife's going to lose her mind. 45 and a bit. So I'm 45 and a bit. And, I've been doing this longer than I haven't. Yeah, I've got really good form on things, but I'm practiced. I might make it look effortless, but that's because I've been doing it day in, day out for almost, again, a majority of my life. So that's just how things are. Don't worry about being perfect. Just get your foot in the door. Just give it a shot. That small effort is better than no effort at all. Okay meal you made is better than eating crap food.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah. Like people say, oh, I don't know how to make a super healthy food.
Yeah.
Who cares? As long as you're not eating junk food, you're already 10 steps ahead. If you're not eating processed stuff, you're already 10 steps ahead. You don't need those influencer fake, like every gram measuring scale, like baby steps, just chicken and rice. And if you eat too much rice,
chicken, broccoli, rice.
Yeah. And if you eat too much rice first time, you're like, hey, Tyson, I ate 400 grams. Oh, okay. I want you to take that 300. Oh, okay. But that's still better than fast food, McDonald's, pizza. Yeah. Like, don't overthink it. Like, hey, chicken and rice, or you have meat and potatoes, or all the just normal dishes we had as a kid. I always tell people, they're like, how do you eat? I'm like, just eat. We did, like, for you and I, it makes sense, Tyson. Just eat like we did back then. Like McDonald's was a once a month treat you maybe got from your parents. If you know what I mean? Like fast food used to be a treat. It used to be like if you did something good, you did all your chores, whatever, your parents would take you to McDonald's and you got to whip around the playland and you get the box and stuff with the toy. But people are depending on that for their actual substance and protein and everything. It's just, but yeah, don't overcomplicate. You're gonna screw up your first meal prep, and you'll probably burn half your food. And you'll put too much in one, and you'll probably run out. I remember I didn't make enough rice when I first started, and then I made too much rice, and then I burned the chicken. I was like, oh my god! But yeah, you're gonna mess everything up the first weeks, obviously. You know?
No, and that's actually a really good point. Most people are living off of that food now rather than enjoying it from time to time. I have no problem with clients from time to time having some pizza, having burger and fries. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of that food. But when you're having it on a daily basis because you're failing to do meal prep, and it's like, well, meal prep it takes too much time, it's complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not. And if you don't have time to do it, go to a meal prep place. And again, people will be like, well, that's expensive. It's the same price as having the Big Mac meal that you have every day. So don't give me that shit. Don't tell me. I know you're eating out 5 days a week. So many people, oh well, they're not meal prepping, so they're stopping. They're going to Tim Hortons, they're going to McDonald's, they're going to A&W. And again, I don't care if you want to go eat there, fine. There are healthier options there if you want to try to have it. But it's not cheaper to eat there than it is to go to a meal prep place. And there's plenty around, no matter what city you live in now. They're everywhere. But again, people would rather use the excuse, well, why would they get meal prep meals if they're not going to the gym? Or if they're not getting in their run? Or if they're not getting in their steps, right? Everyone's looking for that perfect thing. Well, I'm not going to get meal prep if I'm not doing workouts and not getting the right amount of sleep and I'm not getting... So you'd rather do everything wrong than one thing right. Do you know how like crazy that sounds?
Yeah.
At least in my head anyways, right? Like the walk you took at 9 p.m. beats the run you planned for 6 a.m. and you missed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
I need people to just understand me on this. And that's why I'm always trying to look for wins with my clients. Yeah, I'm going to call you out on your shit if you're doing something dumb. But far too often, the things I have to get my clients to realize is actually the things they're doing right, because they're like, oh, well, it's just a walk. Yeah, but you weren't walking before.
Yeah.
You weren't moving before. Oh, well, I had a bad day of eating. Okay. It's a day. There's 6 more to get it right. Don't worry about it. So going into the next part, this is actually a really good tie-in. So I was talking to Jay about this a little while ago. I ran into a client. It's Thursday, so I think it was on Monday I saw her. I hadn't seen her in a week or so. And again, time kind of flies when you're busy. I think everyone can agree to that. So I saw her and I could tell she looked just almost a little embarrassed when I made eye contact with her. So I went over to this former client and, hey, how are you? It's good to see you. How's everything going? And I could see as soon as I asked that question, she felt almost embarrassed or ashamed. Like I see it in her eyes because I worked with her before. So I asked her, hey, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Well, I just missed the last 2 weeks. I didn't get in the gym for 2 weeks. You just had a baby. So again, to clarify, yes, she just had a baby. I believe it's about 3 months ago. She had a baby. She gave herself enough time to kind of recover. And I think she's been at the gym now for about a month. She missed 2 weeks. So 3 months postpartum, and she's feeling guilty about missing 2 weeks. And I had to kind of get her to just be kind to herself. And I needed her to understand. And this is how I frame this for her. And this is, I think, going to be a big thing for anyone listening. If you're struggling with this, I want you to think of 2 weeks in this scheme of life and the time that we have in a year. We have 52 weeks in a year. You have 50 weeks left. What's 2 weeks? And she's like, well, I just didn't have time. And I'm like, okay, you didn't have time to come to the gym because you got to drive and you have things you have to do. And I asked her, what about walking? Could you get a walk in? Yeah, I could, but I couldn't do long. And again, this is where I said, that 9 p.m. walk is better than that 6 a.m. run that you planned and you missed. I would rather either clients who are working with me or former clients that I'm working with, or maybe anyone who's never worked with me and you're just listening to us. 20 minutes of something is better than no minutes at all. Stop trying to get the 60-minute workouts. Oh, I got to get 60 minutes at the gym. No, you don't. Do 30 minutes. Do 20 minutes. Do something. And then she kind of realized, yes, that was kind of silly, thinking that she has to do that amount of time every time. No, just come in and do what you can. I told her, even choose the chips over the chicken. Choose the chicken over the chips.
Yeah.
No. So I told her, choose the chicken over the chips. Do the small things you can do, right? Practice some gratitude. Practice some form of self-care. If you can't get to the gym today, that's okay. There's other things you can do for your health. And I think people need to understand that too. When we're talking about a lifestyle, you need to understand there's more to life than just going to the gym. Now, I get it. This is a form of stress outlet and maybe relief for many. I know for Jay and I it is. But there's more to life than lifting weights. So if you can't get to the gym, maybe you miss your walk. Can you take 5 minutes and do some breath work? Can you take a minute and do some gratitude? Do some meditation. Do something that's good for you in some way, shape, or form when it comes to your self-care. Arguably, yes, we all can. A lot of the time, though, we're just not planning things in order to do it. So for her, this is where I kind of talked about the problem, right? It's almost like a disease. The standard that she set, the standard that so many people set, that bar, is so far removed from what their current reality is. So if they can't do that, then there's no point doing it at all. So Jay, with that being said, you've been around men, even you yourself, who beat themselves up maybe for missing an objective or not hitting the mark where they might have wanted to. What do you think is the smallest win you've ever counted as a real win yourself? And how did you start to acknowledge those small wins? And how did it help you?
Yeah, like when I've been injured a few times in the military or motorcycle accident and stuff, a lot of wins for me was just going to the gym. Even if I didn't lift that much weight or, wasn't able to do what I used to, as long as I just got there, and even if I said, oh, I'm really sore, I can't do this, well, I'll just get there. And at least if I walk on the treadmill, then it's a win for me, even if I do the stretching I need to do that I know I don't do enough of, well, that's a win for me and stuff like that. So now I've struggled with where I've hurt myself in my motorcycle accident and I can't do certain exercises. And that really plagues me because I used to be so good at a certain exercise. But now that I had my motorcycle accident, I can't do that exercise anymore without extreme pain. So I remember you telling me, well, let's just go light. Well, I didn't want to go that exercise. I didn't want to do it light because it bothers me so much to do that exercise at half the weight I used to do. So we changed to a different exercise. Oh, should I go back to that other one or something? Well, that's up to my trainer. I mean, if I can't do that weight that I used to do on that exercise, it does bother me. So I still struggle with stuff. Like we tell people, we're not perfect. We still struggle. We still have our own issues. But when I'm injured, I love at least doing some kind of exercise. And it doesn't bother me if I'm sore and I have to go light. But if that certain body part never recovers enough that I can go back to what I used to be, then that's where I kind of struggle. Like, well, I don't want to do it then. I'll find another exercise that still lets me train, still lets me push some weight, but it doesn't cause me pain and stuff like that. So Yeah, I still struggle with stuff like that. Like you and I have talked about, I used to love running, because I ran all the time in the military and stuff like that. But my knee is just like taps me on the shoulder, like, yeah, I know you like running. Guess what? I don't anymore. And so I had to learn this that if I didn't run 5 days a week, that was okay because I was still exercising. I have the bike that I can still do. I can walk, I can do row, I can do all these other exercises that still help me burn calories, mental health, de-stress, everything else. But if your body's letting you know that you need a break, whether you're sick, injured, had a baby, whatever, it's okay to take a little break as long as you still try and do something. But you will never be that prime 37-year-old that could run forever, do this forever, never sore. Eventually, your joints are going to need a break. You're going to injure something so bad that you're going to need to back off the weight. But it doesn't mean you failed. It's the fact of life. Your body's going to change. We're going to go steps where we get bolder, we're going to get sick, you're going to have a baby. Maybe both your kids are sick at home and your wife, and everything's just a disaster in the winter and you can't leave the house because you're catching something. Well, then, it doesn't mean you've lost. It doesn't mean anything. It's just maybe at that time of your life, you need to recharge yourself, do whatever you can at home, whether you got bands at home, dumbbells at home, little mats, you do some yoga, you do whatever you can, and then come back, but it's not a fail. It's not anything like that. But I struggle with myself. If I can't do something as good as I did the week before, I'm mad at myself. Like, look at us on leg day. Like my one leg is so sore. I got massage therapy and she uses that tool where she just
Yeah, the Graston.
and my leg was so sore from her working on my T-band that my leg workout sucked with you. And I was mad that it sucked with you. I felt like I almost wasted my leg day. I thought it was a waste of leg workout. But then when I get home, I got to realize, okay, you still went, you still lifted weights, you still exercised. I still cleared my mental health, and de-stressed. Okay, the weight wasn't the same. So what? I still made it there. I still won. I still won the battle, you know?
That's actually a great way to look at it. I mean, even you and I were talking about this earlier today when we were working out together. I was chirping you a little bit on not worrying about the dumbbells. And the reason why is you had sent me that video of Ronnie Coleman. Now, anyone again who's listening to this right now most likely knows who Ronnie Coleman is. Even if you don't know bodybuilding, he had a Netflix special, right? A very inspirational, very motivational Netflix special. And Ronnie Coleman, as most people know, really injured himself, like pretty much destroyed his body. Now he's in his, I think, early 60s, 62 or something like that. And there he was in the gym, still yelling, yeah, buddy, lightweight, but arguably it was for the first time lightweight. And he was there pressing 40-pound dumbbells from a guy who used to do 12 reps with 200-pound dumbbells. So there he is doing what he can. Now, again, he's broken his body to pieces. So he can either just be like, well, you know what? There's no point. I can't lift what I used to, so I'm just not going to bother. No. He's in there smiling, joking, laughing, still doing the same lines, still being the same Ronnie. Even though the weight has gone down considerably, he's not allowing that to define or dictate or change the outcome of who he is. And this is what's really important for people to understand. So keep that in mind, right? So this is where most people get the stack kind of wrong, right? They choose outcome first. They want to, lose the weight, hit the number, run the race. Now, these are all good targets. I think targets are awesome. But what can happen is, well, when the outcome or the results that you're looking for, when they don't show up maybe in the timeline that you wanted, then they quit. So again, not saying that these things are wrong. They're actually really good to have an objective, a goal to reach, but they haven't allowed the habit, discipline, and identity to start, right? Because then no matter what, like Ronnie, just because he's not pressing 200-pound dumbbells doesn't mean he doesn't press dumbbells anymore. He's just adjusted for his quality of life right now, right? If you allow that habit, discipline, and identity to be built, the outcome is going to follow on its own. in its own time. And you're going to embrace the process and accept that, oh, it might not have happened in the 6 months that I'd given myself. But again, are you going to look back 5 years from now and even realize that you didn't get it within the 6 months? No, you're just going to be like, oh yeah, I hit that objective. And now I'm so far ahead of that objective 5 years down the road. But imagine you stopped because you didn't get it in that 6 months you gave yourself. Well, now you never achieved not just that objective, but really any maybe meaningful objective after, because that was the only thing you chose to focus on. I failed. Well, what's the point? Wasn't perfect. Screw it. Easy way out.
Yeah.
It's the easy way out.
Yeah. And I want people to know, like, even you and I, we still struggle. I don't know about you, but I still struggle with it. Like, where if I don't press as much as I did last week, it bothers me. Or if I don't run as fast or do as many push-ups, and let's say 1 week we do 80 and then the next week I only got 70. Oh God, I'm weak and no, I don't know. Stuff happens, but I struggle with it too, where it bothers me a bit. And then I go home, take a deep breath, do a little breathing, do whatever I gotta do. But like, all right, no big deal. I got this next week. And who knows? Could have been the weather, could have been something, could have been a million little factors in there, but you're always going to have those little, I don't know what you call it, missteps or stumbles or, crack in the road that you trip over or whatever. That's all life is bumps. That's what it is. Bumps in the road. Life is nothing but bumps in the road, and you're going to hit them all the time. And sometimes you'll hit them so much you blow a tire, and sometimes you don't even feel them. But are you going to, if you blow a tire in your car, you're going to pull over and get out and walk home? No, you're going to fix the tire, realize where that pothole is or whatever in the road, and you're never going to hit it again, hopefully.
Well, you might hit it tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's like
life goes on.
Yeah, life goes on, and the weight is going to be waiting for you tomorrow. Like, the weight's never going to go away. The gym is always going to be there waiting for you to come back and try again. And that's all you got to really do is kind of just keep trying again. Like, you think I was oh my God. That's what it just dawned on me when I was trying out for Special Forces. You think I learned to swim in the first month?
Yeah, we've
talked
about this.
Yeah. I drowned for 3 months solid. I was the worst person in the pool the lifeguard said he's ever seen that was trying to learn how to tread water, because I couldn't get my head around egg beating compared to the old school kind of scissor kicking tread water. So I had to learn that, and just holding my breath, going down in the deep end. That was very hard for me because the pressure on your ears you get and telling yourself to stay calm. Like, I struggled. And after 3-4 months, I could have said, no, I'm not getting this. I'm out. Like, it's just not for me. My body won't let me do it or whatever. And I could have quit. And I probably never would have been on this podcast, never would have met you. Who knows where my life would have been,
Be a lot different.
Yeah. But I mean, I could have quit because I didn't grasp that right away. And people were laughing at me in the pool, like it was friendly laugh, but people would just shake their head and be like, man, I've never seen anybody drink so much water before in my life,
How does that chlorine taste? Awful.
Yeah. But I kept going. It's like first time I played soccer. I couldn't figure out how to kick that ball properly, which way to go. Guys are out deking me like it was nothing. I was just like, oh my God, but keep showing up, you get better, you start learning, things get practical, and you just get better at it. VJ used to run circles around me with the soccer ball, and I couldn't even get him. But then it was just more and more practice playing with him, and then I was able to, get it away from him a couple times and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just the more you do it, the better you get. Things just get easier. But yeah, you're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna suck at something. You're gonna have horrible weeks, whether you're sick and just ate something, your stomach's upset, that. Like, there was one time you kicked me out of the gym. I was so bad, and I dragged my butt there.
I told you, I'm like, get out. You're not working out today. You're like, don't come in it. I'm like, no, you're not. You're horrible. Go walk. You're not training today.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me
do weights. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you're like, it's one day.
And then the next day, you were like, thank God.
Yeah.
You were really sick the next day. And the day after, you were back in to do some more walking, and we reset the next week. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a few days, like there's that old saying, right? Practice makes perfect. No, that's an oxymoron, because you can't be perfect if you're an imperfect individual living in an imperfect world. So let's change that. Practice makes productive. That's all you need to be. Be productive. Be better than you were yesterday. Not perfect, better. That's it. Stop banging your head against the wall, trying to reach an objective that's literally, I hate that word sometimes, literally, that's literally unattainable in our current human form. It'll never be perfect. You might be great at it. You might be even called the GOAT one day. But even the goats suck some days.
Yeah.
Even the goats have their off days. So I talked about that habit, discipline, and identity. So just before we go on to the next area. So just again, for context, for people that are listening. So habit, think of the smallest version of the thing that you want to do, done on a schedule. Not the perfect version, the smallest version, right? What's the smallest version you can do? That 20-minute walk, that maybe one protein forward meal a day, right? 8 hours in bed, even if you don't sleep all of them, train yourself. Train yourself to do something you struggle doing. Habit is the floor. It's not the ceiling. Okay? Discipline. So doing the habit on the day you don't want to do it. Showing up even when you don't want to. Not for the white knuckle willpower reasons, because you promised yourself you'd do it. Discipline is the contract you keep with yourself when no one's watching, when there's no applause, when there's no kudos. Okay, that's all discipline is. It's just you keeping your yes to yourself, your promise to yourself. Don't worry about your feelings. Your feelings can deceive you. And then again, identity. So after enough days, and this is usually where 90 days builds an identity, or at least it starts to get you in line with the identity that you need. So enough days, you stop deciding. It's no longer a decision you have to make. The habit is who you are. You don't skip the walk because you are someone who walks. You don't skip the protein because you are someone who eats like this, right? The decision is gone. The action is now just automatic. So it's just going to happen, right? You're just going to show up no matter what. You're going to choose the right choice because it's who you are. Fundamentally, it's who you are. But that's the place I think most people struggle to get to and rarely ever achieve. Like Jay and I, we're not smarter than anyone listening.
Far from it.
We really aren't.
So
we're
far
not
from
smarter. We're not more educated. We just have the identity. So people who might not know us, they might look at us and be like, oh man, I could never do that. Anyone can. I'm telling you right now, anyone can. It's just realizing that your superpower, I think this is our superpower is our sheer determination, our willpower.
Stubbornness.
Yeah, stubbornness, absolutely. So one of the things that kind of backs what I was talking about, this is from James Clear. So if anyone doesn't know who that is, he wrote the book Atomic Habits. Great book for anyone who wants to maybe improve their habits. That one and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, my 2 favorite books when it comes to habits, had a massive impact in my life. I read them while I was incarcerated. I read the 7 Habits while I was incarcerated. I read the Atomic Habits when I came out. But you have to understand that in that book, Atomic Habits, this exact stacked as the identity-based habit change, it's the most durable habits are not the behavioral-led, but the identity-led. The question is not, what do I want to achieve? The question is, who do I want to become? Now, there's someone named Wendy Wood. She did habit research out of USC. She found that 43% of daily behaviors, so again, that's 43%, are habitual, not decisions. Habits run the day, but identity runs the habits. And I love that. When I read that, I was like, oh, that hits.
That's
So
really good.
again, habits run the day. He runs the habits. So if you're ever wondering what's more important, right? Habits, discipline, identity, it's always going to be identity. But remember, habits is going to be first, then the discipline, then the identity. So another person here, just to give some people more research, and just, and are always talking from the practical, but here's kind of the people who research this stuff. So another one, Charles Duhigg, and again, I hope I said the name right, called Certain Habits, Keystone Habits. So hit one of those keystone habits, and the others fall into line. So for most men, that keystone habit, think of it as just showing up. So if you want to be a runner, at least start by putting on your shoes, right? If you want to go to the gym, get a gym membership. And for the love of God, don't bring weightlifting gloves, especially to 613, because we're just going to laugh at you. Right? So it's just showing up. It's not about performing perfectly. It's not about crushing it. It's just showing up. Now, if I were to look at that in my life contextually, what saved my life from prison was actually the habit riddle that my uncle shared with me. Now, Jay, I've talked to you about this. I've done posts about this. I talked to every single one of my clients that I work with. In fact, I still have that riddle on my phone to this day, and it was on every single one of my what do you call those Bristol boards that are over the desk, right? Like
cork boards or something.
That's it. Thank you. Cork boards, right? We had those in every one of our cells. There's always a cork board over our desk. And once he gave me that riddle, that was always pinned there. And it lasted me my entire time while I was incarcerated. I took care of that piece of paper. And it just always made me realize that what got me to prison was my habits. What got me out of prison was the habits that I implemented. And once those habits were implemented and I started to become disciplined, well, then I built an identity that I carry to this day. And it's never changed. It didn't matter whether I was locked up in my cell, I was still doing a physical activity. Didn't matter if I couldn't call at my time, my girlfriend, my wife now, Joelle, if I couldn't call her, I was still writing her a letter. I was still communicating to her. I was talking to her every day through paper. And when I was out of that lockup, I would go send that letter. And once we were locked up so long, I wrote her like a 20-page letter because I couldn't get to the phone for over a week. So every day in that cell, I was just writing to her. I was continuing the conversation that I felt we needed to have. Right? In order to be a good husband, I needed to work on communication. That's identity. Right? But I had to build the habit first because I was horrible at communication. We talked about this last week in our podcast on communication. You have to build it. Some people don't communicate easily, so you got to build that. Some people are really out of shape. They come from an obese family. You got to build that. Doesn't come overnight. It takes time. So don't avoid the things you struggle with. People will say habits aren't good or bad. Okay. But you know what habits are? They're honest. Habits are honest. They don't lie. You don't like where you are? Look at what you do on a daily basis. Don't blame your parents. Don't blame your friends. Don't blame your ADHD. Stop blaming your depression. Yeah, they're contributing factors. Sure. It's your habits. what you do repeatedly. That's why you are where you are. So build that. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. I need you guys to realize that. Just be consistent. So Jay, before I get to you, one last thing. So one more research backbone. This is the self-determination theory. It identifies autonomy, competence, and relatedness as 3 universal drivers of sustainable motivation. Okay, so externally imposed perfection standards crush autonomy and competence. Right? So that's not a good thing. Internally chosen habit standards build them. So again, internally chosen habit standards build them. This research is 40 years old. So you need to understand, basically, if you're like, well, what are you talking about, Tyson? What does that mean? What they're saying is pick your standards. Don't let your standards pick you. And again, that's kind of how we're raised, who we're around, that external influence around us, which we can't control what other people do. We can only control what we do. So pick your standards. Pick your association. Choose your friends wisely. Right? Who's ever picked the perfect friend? No such thing. You pick great friends. Well, I think the perfect friend is just the friend who's loyal to you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
right? That's why they're your best friend. It's not that they're perfect. They still sometimes hurt our feelings or say things we don't want to hear.
That's why they're the perfect friend, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, arguably I picked the perfect wife. And it's not that she's perfect. She's just perfect for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly what you need. Right? So, guys, stop chasing perfection. Just start showing up. Identity is going to follow. So, Jay, when it comes to that identity, again, we've talked about this in other podcasts. We're talking about it again now. From your world in the military, in training, and everything you've done, the moment that a man stops trying to be the guy who, works out and becomes a guy who works out, right? What does that shift actually feel like from the inside? So I think for you, the best example would be like the guy who swims to the guy who could swim while you were busy drowning in the pool.
Yeah.
So what was that when you started to realize that identity?
Well, it's like that. And it's like PT in the military. When you first join, you have to do PT. Like it's mandated. So every morning you wake up, you form up 7:30 in the morning and you have to do it. And there's people there that don't want to be there. And they're only doing
just to clarify, what does PT stand for just for the audience?
Physical training.
Thank you.
So every morning, 7:30 in the morning, you line up for physical training. And there's people that do not want to be there and they will do the bare minimum just to keep the bosses off their back and stuff like that. But when you become who you are, you actually start putting in effort. You actually start doing more than the basic, more than the minimum. And then you start becoming the person who you are. Like if you want to stay in the military, if you want to try out for hard courses or stuff like that, if you want to better your life. So when you make that transition in, okay, instead of me just doing the minimum and dragging my butt through everything, why don't I put in a little bit of effort, become a responsible citizen, respectable person in this world. Let me put in some effort and let's see what I can make of my life. And your whole mindset changes. And instead of just eking by and being miserable, put in some effort and see what you can do with yourself. And you'll be surprised at where your life will go, how successful you could be. It could go farther than you ever dreamed of just by you putting in some effort and eating a proper meal, doing some extra exercise, doing some meditation, some stretching, some yoga, doing some personal reflection, as you say, like whatever it takes. As soon as you put in that effort, you start becoming the person who you are meant to be. Sky's the limit, they say. Sky's the limit. You can do, I mean, obviously you can't be an astronaut unless, you're a genius, but you can be a great, happy person in society. The world sucks right now. We are struggling. People have been struggling for a long time. You can either let the world win or you can fight back and try to have just a perfect, happiest life that you can have. And if you have peace and you have joy in your life and you have a partner you love and family and a close group of friends that you can depend on, then you are more successful than 80% of the people in this world, I swear.
Let's say more, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's rich right there.
Yeah.
Because that's something that can't be taken away from you.
No. And
You
people
know,
will try.
I mean, you can lose people you love, but fundamentally that's where, you focused on the right things.
Yeah. Like
And that's that rich.
I would never give up the 8 years I had with V for not having the pain. They said, hey, I could take that 8-year memory out of your head and you wouldn't have the pain. I wouldn't give that up for anything.
Absolutely.
Because that 8 years bond I had with him, the fun I had with him, the laughter, the trash talking, the everything, I will take the pain for the rest of my life knowing I had the 8 most fantastic years with that best friend ever. Oh, whether you've had a bad childhood, you were, struggling with this, struggling with drugs, struggling with depression or whatever. If you take control now and just do the little bit more than the minimum, just put in the effort, just watch what will happen to your life. Watch how far it can go.
I love that. I love how you frame that, man. That's beautiful, especially even just that thing with V. You're absolutely right. You know, it's you might have lost, how now kind of going forward with life, that opportunity to grow with V or whatever. But like that 8 years, that's still a lifetime of memories.
Yeah.
And hell no, I wouldn't train that for the world. And I guess I can I'd relate to it slightly in a different way. But if I were to look at like the 10 years I was incarcerated, a lot of people, they focus on like, oh, but dude, you were in prison for 10 years. Yeah. Yeah. I, you could say I lost 10 years, but I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as more of an investment. It was an investment. It's not about the 10 years I lost. It's about the perspective and the lessons I learned along the way. I mean, I gained the rest of my life. If it weren't for those 10 years in prison, I never would have met my wife. Never would have met you. I never would have started Mind System. I'd never be where I am right now. So do I choose to focus on the 10 years, or do I look at everything I've gained because of that arguably small sacrifice?
I personally think you would have been dead. Personally. From what you've explained to me, the drugs you were on, the paranoia, I think you would have went in, if that situation didn't happen, you would have went into another situation where you would have been shot or stabbed or another bad thing. And yeah, you wouldn't have been here. So yeah.
I'm actually grateful that you're right, that's what happened. I mean, that's what everyone who knew me, who cared about me, who I didn't want to listen to, my mom and a very few small amount of friends were telling me, Tyson, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to wind up in prison or dead. Well, I ended up in prison, and I'll take that prison over death. Prison's temporary, death is pretty permanent.
Yeah.
So if I could, again, now if I can frame it in a more specific way, when it comes to looking at things, and this is what I want my audience to understand, is that this is almost like going through these tough times, going through loss, going through whatever trial and adversity you might be dealing with personally. I kind of want to compare it to a blacksmith. So for anyone, I know being a blacksmith is kind of it's a little bit of a lost art, but I think most of us are familiar with what blacksmiths do, right? They don't create steel. No, blacksmiths, all they do is they reveal it. They reveal the power and the beauty in steel. So they basically take raw metal and they put it through fire, right? So they put it in extreme heat that would break and destroy most things. Then they put it in cold, and they then heat again, and they do this cycle over and over. And each cycle, from hot to cold, this extreme heat to extreme cold, it burns away what doesn't belong. It removes the impurities from the steel. Each cycle makes what remains harder, more precise, and more capable of holding an edge, right? That's what prison did to me. That's what your trials, your hardships that you're dealing with, that's what it's actually doing to you if you frame it this way. It's removing what's weak. It's not punishment. Prison was never punishment. It wasn't destruction. It was forging. The heat was the isolation, the loss, the weight of what I had done and what I had to face. The cold, well, that was the silence, that uncomfortable silence. The moments where there was nothing left to distract me from myself. And in that process, everything that was weak, everything that was false, everything I had been carrying that was never mine to carry, it was burned off. What came out the other side was not a new man. It was just the real one. It was the one that was always there. Forged doesn't mean fixed. It means tested, shaped, and ready. Every single person here, that's what I want you to frame when it comes to your life going forward. The tests, the hardships, this is what removes the impurities. This is what makes you strong. So you either sit there and you whine and you complain and you say how it's not fair and you play the victim. And oh, I know, people don't like the word victim. They get triggered by the word victim. That's not my problem. I was a victim. A person who's ready to acknowledge where they are and where they're struggling, they're not going to get triggered by a word. They're going to realize that's just a matter of vocabulary to describe your current condition, but that doesn't mean you have to stay a victim. Doesn't mean you have to stay where you are. But again, you look at the majority of lifers that I was in prison with, you think they framed their time the same way that I did? Again, it's not because I was smarter. It's just I realized what I had to do to change. And I was willing to do the work. I was willing to own that and face it. And take responsibility. That's it. There's a difference between Jay and I and anyone listening. Just, Jay and I have failed so much. We just have gotten really good at taking ownership for it. And we still fail. We still make mistakes. We still stub our toes, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah. I still see a shrink. I still need therapy. I still need personal training. I still need help. You know what I mean? I still have issues in the winter during that season. I suffer from SAD, seasonal awareness depression in the winter, and it affects me. And I need more help in the winter. Sometimes I need to talk to you in the winter. I struggle. And yeah, it's like, we're not fixed. We're just two dudes that were broken that put in a little bit of effort to get fixed. And then we kept going, kept putting in the effort, kept trying. And if you keep trying at something, it does pay off. Like, I've never seen anybody try at something and fail. Like, keep failing and it never works. If you keep trying, things will happen. Things will get better. If you try, if you put in the effort, things will get fixed. Now, it could be a long friggin' road. Could take you years to fix it. Could take you years to get sober, get thin, get, motivated, get happy, find peace. I'm not saying Tyson isn't running a 6-week course. You know what I mean?
No.
Those courses, they're bullshit. If you see them online, 6 weeks, get happy in 6 weeks. No, it ain't happened. Me and Tyson are selling a 6-year course right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. you hit the nail on the head. People need to understand you've been living the wrong way longer than you've been trying to live the right way.
Yeah.
It takes time. It's the one thing I keep trying to tell people I work with. Just give yourself some time. I'm going to say it again. 10 years. Over 87,000 hours of self-investment, and I'm still working on it. Like, prison was the most intensive self-care investment I think anyone could arguably make. And I would never wish it upon anyone. But it's what I needed. And I don't regret it. So if you're listening to us right now, just give yourself some damn time. Give yourself some grace. Stop trying to be perfect at it. Just be productive. Be consistent. Show up. Show up especially when you don't want to. Build that identity. Right? It's, if I can take 10 years and call it investment, you can take 2 weeks off. Right? You can take a missed workout and call it a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right? You can take a bad meal and call it lunch. Your mistakes, your failings, they don't define you. No, what defines you is what you do after. I think one of the most famous quoted lines from the when Christian Bale played Batman, right? When he fell down when he was a little kid, Alfred helps him up. And he's like, what do we do when we fall, Master Bruce? We get back up. It's funny. It was my correctional officer that quoted me that line when I was in prison, and I was having a feel bad for myself day. I was having a real pity party. I was in max security. It was about, she could see I was getting better, but I was struggling this day. And she just looked at me. She's like, Tyson, it's okay. And she quoted that line. And I was just like, okay, you're right. Yeah. I fell. So do I stay down? Do I stay the victim? Or do I choose to get up and choose to be a victor? Victim, victor. So one thing, again, for research backbone, as we get to the end here, as we're wrapping up. So I'm going to say just the last name because I'm not sure how, again, they always have weird names in these studies. I swear to God. So Brown's, thank God, the last name. So this researcher, Brown, research on perfectionism, versus healthy striving draws a sharp line. So healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve? Perfectionism is other-focused. So that's, well, what will they think? Right? One's internal, one's external. The first is fuel. The second is shame. The second is shame in disguise. So with the 2 decades of data that Brown has on shame and vulnerability, put his distinction at the center of their work. Center of her work. So is it, what will they think, or should it be, how can I improve? So healthy striving, self-focused, perfectionism, other-focused. That's when I read that, I was like, man, that's a great way to frame it up. Because if you think about it, perfectionism is actually worrying, right, about what other people think. If we take on a new hobby, we don't want to look stupid in front of other people. But embrace the embarrassment. Don't worry about what other people are seeing. I love watching people post videos of themselves learning a new hobby, whether it be a sport or, whatever it is. You can see them struggling, but they're posting it there for everyone to see. And I'm like, yeah, own that. That's awesome. Good for you. There's nothing embarrassing about that. You're trying. Good for you. So again, guys, all that matters is what you do with the time you have left. That's it. I think Jay and I we're past our halfway point, arguably, in the scheme.
Whoa.
Trigger.
Come on.
It don't focus on what you've maybe lost out on. Focus on what you can do. Right? If you're listening to this and the workout you've been putting off just came to mind, or the meal plan you abandoned, the habit you keep restarting on the first of every month, right? It's not a coincidence. We're talking about this today because we want our listeners, we want our audience to have those moments. I can't tell you guys how many times I've had an aha moment because of listening to someone else's struggle. Just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I needed to hear that today. Right? That's the work just pointing at itself. That's just us reminding you of what you need to do. And I need reminders sometimes to do things I need to do. Because sometimes I get too focused on one thing and I fail to do something else I need to do. That's just being human. Because I'm imperfect and I'm going to miss shit.
It's like I said before.
Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like I said before, Marcus Aurelius, we do more damage in our own mind with our own thoughts than anybody could ever do to us. And like I told people before, your brain works for you. It works for you. You employ it. You are its boss. Now, it is a stubborn employee that will fight you tooth and nail, but you are the boss. Yeah, it's just, you gotta stop thinking that people are actually spending that much time and effort talking about you, because they're not. They don't care. They're not wasting that much time talking or thinking about you that you think they are. It's like, if I'm doing something wrong at the gym and I think, oh, that guy was watching me do something wrong, he must be talking to me. He doesn't care. He's looking at you, he turns away, and 5 seconds later, he's totally forgot what you've done. And if you let that plague yourself all day long, like, you're completely wrong. People are not that focused on you. People are not talking about you or thinking about you as much as you think they are. So just relax and do what you need to do to make yourself better.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. And you know what? Even if they are talking about you, then that's because they got nothing good going on in their life anyways.
Yeah.
Then I kind of feel sorry for you.
What's that saying? I wish I knew who said it. You'll never find a hater doing better than you. Never.
Yeah,
never.
It's so true though. Yeah.
Yeah.
The armchair athletes, right? Look how many people are experts in every sport, right? All these influencers that talk about how to train better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a 14-inch arm. What are you talking about? Oh, that's not the right form. That's not the right mechanical tension. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can go get your perfect mechanical tension. I'll go lift some heavy weight. We'll see who produces the best results. Stop worrying about the perfect alignment of your body and overcorrecting everything. Like, my God, just go enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah,
Make a fool of yourself.
That's
I'd rather see someone do horrible form within relation of not injuring themselves, but I'd rather someone who's new at the gym trying to lift weights, even if it's, with not great form, as long as they're not at risk of hurting themselves, then not go. My form sucked when I started too.
Yeah.
It's okay. We all sucked when we started.
Half the battle's showing up. That's all it is. More than half the battle's showing up. Showing up to anything. Practice. I don't know what you call it, like practices, soccer, football, baseball, softball, whatever you do. It's just showing up as half the battle. And people will teach you along the way. Everybody will teach you. People love to teach. especially people that if you go up and ask and they're good at something. I've never gone up and asked somebody how to be a better runner, this and that, and they've always said, "Oh, I don't help people." Never heard anybody ever say that to me. Yeah.
And if you really want to make sure they want to teach you, just pay them a compliment. You know, stroke someone's ego real quick, and they will be more than happy to walk you through what you're doing wrong. I mean, I have people ask me questions all the time at 613, and I've never ever said to anyone, hire me. If you want to know this, hire me.
Yeah.
If I got a minute, of course I'll give you some tips. Of course, I'd rather see you do it the right way. And I know most people will probably never be able to afford to work with me. That's okay. Doesn't mean you know how many people gave to me freely when I started training at the YMCA or when I was struggling in prison? You know how many people helped me out? I can't pay those people back, but you know what? I can pay it forward. So if you're not sure, just ask. Like Jay said, just go and ask the big dude, you know, because us big dudes, we're actually pretty nice. We might look menacing, but we're not. We're not menacing. We would love to help you. That's kind of what we love to do. It's what we're passionate about. I mean, we don't get paid for this podcast.
I know. I don't.
We're doing. I don't either. we do this because, you know, it's if it's a one person we help.
And we've had people come up to us at the gym saying,
which was awesome.
Yeah, we've had a few people come up to us at the gym and said, "Hey, thanks for your podcast. I listen every time. It's helped me out. I was going through a breakup." The one guy we know, he was going through a breakup, and our podcast helped him. One guy who's, you know, struggling, stress, work, 2 kids, everything else crashing down, helps him out. Like, I've had a few people come up to us. So it's like, hey, if this is the one way I can give back and it actually helps for all the help I got over the years, awesome, you know?
And I always love our doing this podcast because it's almost like a bit of self-reflection.
Yeah. I find it's helped me as well because, you know, we talked about stuff that I haven't talked about in years with people, you know?
Are you avoiding, Jay?
Well, it's like about, you know, past, you know, child and military and when I tried out and all that. It's stuff I haven't brought up and talked about in years. And it's talking about it, you know, with someone is the best therapy. Talking with someone, explaining how you felt and what it did to you, whatever. It actually, they say it's a form of therapy. So it's, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know the science behind it, no, but it helps.
You know, in the end, you know, when you're struggling with this kind of stuff, you can't address the struggle unless you acknowledge what you're struggling with. And that's, I think, the hardest thing for men, because if we own our weakness, if we actually acknowledge its existence, well, that might mean we're weak. And then I must be a failure. I must be a piece of you know what, because I can't. I'm struggling with this. No. That is another superpower, is taking accountability and responsibility for what you're struggling with. You do that and everything changes. When you actually acknowledge, I have a problem and I need the guidance and help of someone who's been through this. Otherwise, you're going to end up on death's door with an issue you've been dragging behind you, that you've passed on to your kids, that's destroyed your relationship with your wife, your friends, and with yourself. All because you were too prideful to acknowledge its existence. Because to acknowledge that would mean I'm not perfect. Yeah, congratulations, guys. No one is.
Yeah, no one is. No one's even close to it. You know?
So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of From Shadows to Strength. Thank you, Jay, for being here. Thank you for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us. We appreciate it. And tune in the next time for another episode. Take care, everyone.